Baptist Children's Corner. My name is Dave. This is the COVID Home Edition 24 for September 27th. Okay, today I want to talk about doing it right the first time. Or should have done it right the first time. That's more for me. But yeah, doing it right the first time. Alright, here's an example. Let's say your grandma's coming to visit, okay? Your grandma's coming to visit, and it's your mother's mother, just, but what's going to happen in your house? Grandma's coming to visit. What's the first thing your mother's going to do? Housekeeping. Oh, yeah, get the big blitz on, got to clean this, clean that, clean that. And she says to you, go clean your room. And you're like, yeah, okay, no problem. I got it, Mom. So, you go up and you clean in your room, and putting things away, doing this and that. And you look out the window, and there's a bunch of your buddies, and they're riding their bikes up and down the street, just having a hoot, laughing, and they're playing this game that and it's just a lot of fun. And they look up, and they see you in the window, and they go, come on! So you're like, yeah, and you put your own blitz on. It's like, okay, Lego under the dresser, and lumpy bed covered with this, and clothes in the dresser, shove that dresser, and in the closet, and then shut the door, and then you're right. All right, you look around, good enough, I'm out, and you're down the stairs, and you're going out, you pause as you're going out the door, and you're, Mom, okay, I'm going out, I'm going to play now, and it's like, okay, but don't, and she says those words, I'm going to inspect, and you go, and you actually hesitate for a half a second. Like, and no, I'm good. You go. And you go and play. And about 20 minutes later, you hear from your porch, your mother's voice yell your name and say, I inspected! And all your buddies for the rest of the year, that's all they say to you. I inspected! Oh, it's okay. But you got to go back. You got to go to, and your mom said, nah, and you got to go upstairs and clean it and do it right. You got it. So you might as well have done it right the first time, right? No, I used to hate that, yelling at them. I never yelled the kids' names. What I did, I had the three boys, I yelled, boy! And they all came. It was great. Even when Cassandra came along, and she was number 4, something went wrong, or she'll tell you something went finally right, but she learned, answer the boy, that's how it is. I feel sorry for my kids. Your parents, when you get your grades, do they demand, like, what do they tell you? Like, B's is good. Way to go, you got B's, that's good. C's are okay, D's, don't give me D's. But B's are okay, B's are good. And even A's, if you get A's, do they pay? Some parents, they pay for your A's. That's great, I think that's fantastic. Not my house, not my kids. You can ask them now, ask my kids, what was it your dad demanded when you had a test or something? And they'll tell you, perfect. Yeah, I always demanded get perfect. And they brought home a test, and it was like even 98%. Sit down, show me where you lost the 2 marks, and we talk. Do you understand that? And we go over it. And I'm sure they didn't enjoy that. I mean, it wasn't that they were scared of me. I wasn't going to punish them or anything, but it was just like I don't want to do that. So they learned to check their tests. Like, they might as well do it right the first time. So they would, in school, they would, instead of being done first, and they, yeah, no, I'm done, yay! And leaving those dumb mistakes where 3 times 3 equals 8. They would go back and check, and they go 3 times 3. Oh, it's not 8, and they'd fix that. They learned to try to be perfect, to try to do it, because they knew they were going to have to come home, and Dad was going to sit with them. It wasn't like I was going to punish them or anything, but they wanted to do good for me. They had some, not a fear, but some, respect, So, and I thought that was, I never expected them to be perfect. I knew they weren't going to be. Sometimes they were, but I knew they weren't going to be perfect all the time. But I knew that all I wanted them was to try, and they learned to try. And I think they've grown up into wonderful, wonderful people because they've learned to try to be perfect. They're not, but they try very hard. And what that reminds me of in the Bible, we've been talking about Peter. And Peter's letter, and talking about the first time, when Peter wrote his first letter, first thing he says is, if you're a Jesus follower, your soul is saved. You get a reward. Yay, you get a reward! And that's all you got to do. There's no, you have to do this, that, and the other thing. But then he says, except this. Because God is holy, he expects you to be holy. Because God is perfect, he expects you to be perfect. Yeah. Yeah. But what I can do, I can try. I can try to be perfect and give it my best shot. Because Peter goes on to tell us that God says at one point, when it's all over, he's going to sit down with you, or sit down with me, and have a chat. We're going to look at those places where I wasn't perfect, and I'm going to get to explain how I understand now, and I get it. I hope. But yeah, God's going to have that chat with me, and I don't want to have a whole bunch of things that I'm going to be embarrassed or ashamed of, because it's not like I'm scared of God, not like he's going to take my Xbox away, but I want to please him. I don't want him to be, disappointed with me. I have a reverence, a respect, a fear. I want to do things right. So God says, I'm holy, be holy. So I try to be perfect. I know it does not always, but I try. So that's all you got to do. Try to do it right the first time. You're not going to be perfect. We know that. But you can try. And when you try, people respect that an awful lot. So be perfect this week. And remember, and one other thing, I just forgot to mention this. After all this was done, after Peter said, by the way, God's perfect, you be perfect, because he's going to have that chat with you one day. So, and then he says, do this. He says, so love everybody. Back to that again. God is love, love everybody. Like, love God, love other people. Do you get the feeling there's a theme running here? Yeah, God loves you. So do I, as a matter of fact. But, okay, I'll see you next week. Be perfect. Ciao. Have a good week.